Discover the heartwarming truth. How 30 days of transformation brought us closer than ever. In the small town of Maplewood, where the cornfields waved like old friends in the breeze, Sarah woke up one miserable Tuesday morning feeling the weight of the world pressing down on her chest. As a nurse, she was used to caring for others, bandaging wounds both seen and unseen. But today her own heart felt heavy, overshadowed by the recent tragedy that had torn through their close-knit community. A vibrant young soul had been lost too soon, leaving Sarah's teenager, Emma, feeling more isolated than ever. At 15, Emma was caught in a whirlwind of self-discovery, her laughter now muffled by clouds of confusion and grief. They needed anything to bridge that chasm forming between them. With a spark of inspiration, Sarah proposed a bold 30-day transformation challenge. It was meant to counter the heartbreak they felt, fostering healing and connection as they ventured into the struggles faced by their neighbors. Together, they deconnect with local veterans, learning from their stories of sacrifice, resilience, and ultimately community spirit. How would they know if they hadn't tried? The first week was a roller coaster. As they reached out, listening to the older men and women, aching hearts began to mend. But the moment they posted their experiences on social media, the skepticism poured in. Just seeking attention, some murmured in the town square, rolling their eyes as if the genuine smiles on Sarah's and Emma's faces could somehow be twisted into something nasty. It stung, but Sarah held her ground. "Rise above it, Emma. Show them our character is built by how we treat others," she said, feeling hope ignite, even in the face of disapproval. Yet the shadows darkened their doorstep. Bills piled up like fallen leaves, and the specter of losing their home loomed large, a constant tightening in Sarah's chest. The challenge was meant to lift them, but fear whispered heavily to her. How could they focus on transformation when their safety felt so fragile? Just when despair wrapped them in its inescapable grip, Mrs. Henderson, their elderly neighbor, stepped in. With stories from her own youth, she taught them about unity, emphasizing how kindness during hard times would weave the fabric of strength in their community. As they reached the halfway mark of their challenge, Sarah and Emma prepared for a community event that would gather families together. Excitement buzzed, but so did the undercurrents of judgment and economic disparity that lurked beneath smiles. Sarah looked at Emma, feeling a mix of trepidation and anticipation. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. With emotions running high, Sarah and Emma faced their own judgment in search of common ground. Would they embrace their journey, or let the harsh scrutiny pull them apart just as they were starting to reach for each other again? The hope that flickered beat in their chests, but the uncertainty loomed tall like the cornfields that surrounded Maplewood. What would happen when they shared their story? What managed to connect their broken hearts might just unravel them further. As the sun began to set on the horizon, casting golden rays over the tiny town of Maplewood, Sarah took a deep breath, feeling the warmth of the day embrace her. The community event was just a few hours away. She could hear the distant sounds of laughter and music drifting from the town square, mingling with the rustling cornfields. Yet, a cold knot of anxiety coiled in her stomach. "Are you ready?" Emma asked, her voice barely disguising the uncertainty that mirrored her mother's. She was dressed in a simple white dress that twirled slightly with every movement, her youthful spirit battling with the shadows of her recent grief. "More ready than I'll ever be," Sarah said with forced cheer. But the slight tremor in her voice betrayed her. They arrived at the town square, transforming it into a vivid patchwork of booths, colorful banners, and families bustling about. The air was thick with the aroma of fresh food and the sweet scent of cotton candy. Despite the initial excitement, Sarah felt the weight of stares lingering on them, heavier than ever. As people began gathering, she took Emma's hand tightly. "Let us find Mrs. Henderson. She'll help lighten the mood," Sarah said. They weaved through the cheerful chaos until they found the lively elderly woman at a booth, offering freshly baked pies with a bright smile that spoke of days filled with warmth and comfort. When Mrs. Henderson saw them approaching, her eyes sparkled. I'm so glad you two made it. Have you tried my pecan pie yet? Emma beamed, the smell bringing a glimmer of nostalgia. Not yet, but I'll rescue a slice right now. As they stood together, sharing small talk with Mrs. Henderson, Sarah couldn't shake off the feeling of being watched. She glanced around and noticed small groups clustered together, whispering and pointing. The heaviness in her chest resurfaced. It shouldn't matter, she thought, but the doubt settled in like an uninvited guest. They began their presentation soon after, showcasing their journey through the transformation challenge with vulnerable honesty. Sarah spoke about their connection with local veterans, the stories of resilience, and the power of community. Emma shared her reflections, her once silent voice bursting forth with surprising confidence. For a moment everything felt right. Yet, as they wrapped up, the whispers grew louder. Sarah caught snippets. Attention seekers, and what are they even doing? It was as if a dark cloud hovered above them, threatening to rain on their hard-earned joy. Emma whispered, her face pale. They're talking about us. Sarah felt the anger rise, bubbling under the surface. How could people be so cruel, especially now? She squeezed Emma's hand tighter. We cannot let them dim our light, Emma. Remember what we've learned. We rise above judgment. As the event continued, Sarah's heart pounded. For every kind word spoken, there was a snide remark that stabbed like a thorn. Emma's laughter seemed to fade, and Sarah could feel the walls slowly closing in on her. Why can't they just see the good in what we're trying to do? With the night drawing on, they began to retreat, feeling more exposed than ever. Perhaps they would find solace in each other's shared vulnerability. A flickering lantern caught Sarah's attention. A newcomer had arrived, standing alone amidst the crowd, observing. What is her story? Sarah wondered, instinctively feeling a connection. It was a question that lingered in her mind, like a flicker of hope igniting in her heart. Just as she started to approach, she heard someone call Emma's name, and the girl turned, startled. It was one of her classmates from school, the very one she had hoped to see. Would this encounter pull them together, or would it widen the chasm that had begun to form? Sarah's heart raced. What lies ahead might change everything for both of them. Would they find the understanding and healing they sought? Or would the weight of the judgment tear them apart once again? Emma's face lit up with a mix of surprise and warmth as she spotted her classmate Jenna. Jenna! She called out, breaking the sadness that clenched around Sarah's heart. It felt like a relief but also like a challenge. Could this really change the atmosphere swirling with judgment? Jenna approached, her easy smile contrasting sharply with the coldness of the whispers that had filled the square. I was hoping to see you tonight, she said, her voice bright. Emma fidgeted, glancing at Sarah, searching for a cue. Sarah could see the hope flickering in her daughter's eyes. The hope that maybe this moment could shift everything. Yeah, we've been busy with stuff, Emma said, her voice slightly wavering. As Jenna talked about her summer, an old camaraderie sparked back to life, warming the space around them. Sarah watched as Emma laughed, her easy smile gradually pushing away the shadows that had settled around them. Yet, a distant murmur broke through the joyous moment. Sarah's eyes caught sight of a small group nearby, wide-eyed, leaning in to listen, their expressions revealing skepticism mixed with curiosity. A pang of anxiety gripped her again. They were still there, the shadows of judgment lurking close. Maybe we should, Sarah started, but Emma waved her off. Let me talk to her, please? Emma pleaded, looking more determined than Sarah had seen her in days. The courage radiating from her filled Sarah with a mix of pride and fear. Okay, Sarah said, slightly reluctant. But remember, don't force anything. As Emma and Jenna moved to the side, Sarah felt her heart quicken. Would this be the moment they needed? Or would it just amplify the distance between them? She turned, needing a distraction, and spotted Mrs. Henderson talking enthusiastically to a new family at her booth. Sarah made her way over, hoping the warm presence of the elderly woman would help soothe her nerves. Isn't this a lovely crowd? Mrs. Henderson beamed, serving a generous slice of pie to a delighted child. Yeah, but Sarah hesitated, the words forming a heavy lump in her throat. Feels like there's a lot of judging going on. Mrs. Henderson's smile faded slightly. People can be quick to judge what they don't understand, she said gently. But you and Emma have already made a difference. The hearts you've touched matter more than the whispers. That's easier said than done, Sarah replied, forced cheers slipping away. I just want her to be happy, to feel safe. A moment of silence wrapped around them, allowing Sarah to ponder her own words. The truth was, she felt so lost, both for herself and Emma. As she gazed back, she could see the two girls animatedly chatting, a bubble of laughter forming between them even as the undercurrent of judgment flowed behind. Maybe it's time to focus on the light in front of us, Mrs. Henderson nudged gently, a knowing smile returning to her face. Steeling herself, Sarah turned again towards Emma and Jenna. The girls stood close, their heads bent together, laughter erupting like flowing water. Sarah caught Jenna's eyes, an unexpected warmth shining back at her. Then in a shocking moment, Jenna turned serious. Emma, she said quietly, I heard what happened. I want to understand. Sarah's breath hitched. She didn't know if this would be a bridge to new beginnings or another path fraught with turmoil. As Sarah took a step closer, hope tangled with fear once more. Would Jenna's sincere curiosity encourage Emma? Would it help tear down the walls, or would it push them further apart? In that single moment, everything felt electrified. The realities of the night hung delicately in the balance. The weight of judgment loomed, but what if the night held something unexpected? What if understanding broke through? Before she could dwell too long on the possibilities, a loud crash echoed from the stage. The crowd turned, gasping collectively. Something's happening. Someone shouted. Sarah's heart raced. What had just occurred? Where would it lead? The gasp rippled through the crowd like a wave. Sarah's heart pounded in her chest, and she squeezed her eyes shut for a brief moment, hoping to drown out the uncertainty. Would the crash signal chaos or something utterly different? Peeking through her fingers, she saw people moving, some rushing toward the stage, others staying glued in place. The once lively chatter morphed into anxious whispers. Her instincts screamed to grab Emma and leave, to shield her from whatever was about to unfold. Mom! Emma's voice cut through the noise, pulling Sarah back to the moment. She turned to find her daughter with wide, sparkling eyes, the bubble of laughter from moments earlier still lingering. Jenna stood next to her, equally intrigued. Did you see that? Emma exclaimed. We have to check it out. Wait! Sarah called after them, her own curiosity fighting with the protective instinct. Be careful. But the girls were already weaving through the crowd, drawn forward like moths to a flame. Sarah took a deep breath and followed, her mind racing. What had broken? What did it mean? As they approached, it became clear. A table had toppled over, spilling a cascade of colorful balloons across the grass. Laughter erupted from the crowd as children darted to join in the playful chaos. A clown, flustered, with his floppy shoes and painted smile, scrambled to gather his things. I guess the show is getting started early. Jenna laughed, nudging Emma playfully. For a moment, the tension in Sarah's chest began to ease. Here was a glimpse of normalcy, of joy. The laughter mixed with the remaining hum of judgment began to wane in the air. Everyone needed a bit of silliness, especially under this cloud of scrutiny. Emma leaned closer to Jenna. Do you want to help him? She asked, pointing at the clown, who was now struggling to catch the escaped balloons. Absolutely. Jenna exclaimed and grabbed Emma's hand. Let us do it together. Before Sarah registered what was happening, the girls were off, no hesitation in their steps. Their laughter rang out, binding them in this newfound moment of lightness. It was like a fresh breath for Sarah. She momentarily forgot the shadows lurking beyond. But as she watched their spirited determination, a wave of concern washed over her. Could this playful interlude ignite real change? Or would it simply highlight the fractures that still existed between groups? As the girls began to gather balloons, Sarah spotted familiar faces watching nearby, those who had been whispering not long ago. Curiosity and doubt played across their expressions, flickering in and out like fireflies. They lingered, some shifting nervously, others whispering again. See? Mrs. Henderson's voice broke into her thoughts. She had appeared at Sarah's side, her warmth like a gentle hand on her shoulder. Look at them. Sometimes it just takes a spark to bring people together. I hope so, Sarah murmured, her gaze darting between Emma and Jenna, then back to the onlookers. What if it's not enough? Hope is always enough. It's the start of everything, Mrs. Henderson reassured her. Just then Emma glanced back, a flush of excitement on her cheeks, her spirit radiating pure joy. Mom! Come help us! She called out, her voice bright among the diverging energy of the crowd, and that moment, Sarah felt a shift within her. It wasn't just about Emma anymore. This was about everyone. She stepped forward, joining the girls, ready to embrace the chaos of laughter, hoping that perhaps tonight would be the beginning of something special. But as Sarah leaned down to grab a wayward balloon, she overheard snippets of the onlookers' conversations. Just out of earshot, someone remarked that it's just a temporary distraction. A chill ran through Sarah. Could understanding really grow from just a moment of fun, or was it simply a delay before the next round of judgment began? The laughter echoed around her, but inside, uncertainty lingered. Could this transformation truly take shape in such fleeting moments? As the fun unfolded, Sarah's heart swayed between hope and doubt, questioning everything. Would the laughter hold? Would the girls' efforts spark real change, or were they just postponing the inevitable? And then the stage erupted into sound. Music blared, drawing everyone's attention away from the girls. But in that moment, with the crowd distracted, a figure emerged from the shadows, stepping closer. Sarah's breath hitched. Who was it? Could this new presence alter the course of everything she had hoped for? The crowd began to sway to the music, feet tapping, bodies moving. The lightness in the air was contagious, pulling Sarah along despite her lingering apprehensions. Still, she couldn't shake the image of that shadowy figure edging near. Who were they? What did they want? Sarah's focus flitted between the girls and the silhouette, her heart racing not from the joy of the moment, but from worry. Emma and Jenna were practically dancing with the clown now, arms flailing as they laughed, their innocence wrapped up in joy. And yet, the figure loomed closer, drawn by the energy of laughter mingling with the loud, lively beats. Just as Sarah's anxiety began to peak, the lady stepped into the glow of the stage lights. She wore a bright purple dress, with strings of colorful beads around her neck that twinkled like confetti. Her wild curls bounced as she moved, creating an image both mesmerizing and familiar. No way, Sarah breathed, finally recognizing her that it was Miss Thompson, the town's vibrant artist known for her larger-than-life murals. But where had she been? Sarah recalled the whispers over coffee about Miss Thompson's absence, the speculation regarding her struggles. Now she stood tall, absorbing the joy surrounding her with an expression that hinted at a deeper story. Emma spotted Miss Thompson first. "Mom, look," she called, practically beaming. Jenna moved to her side, equally captivated. "She's back." Sarah felt a weight shift inside her. Maybe the world wasn't so set in its ways after all. Miss Thompson caught their gaze and a genuine smile erupted on her face. She beckoned the girls over with a flourish, and without a second thought, they rushed away from Sarah, delighted to welcome back someone they so admired. As Sarah stepped forward, her heart thumping in her chest, a series of emotions tangled within her. Part of her wanted them all to be free, unburdened. But there was a nagging sense of caution hiding beneath the surface. Would Miss Thompson steer them towards something uplifting, or would her presence stoke old fears? Caught in this whirlwind of thoughts, Sarah scanned the audience. While some were cheering for the music, others continued to gossip, eyes flitting from Miss Thompson to Emma and Jenna, their expressions a mixture of surprise and skepticism. "Isn't it wonderful?" Mrs. Henderson said softly beside her, breaking through Sarah's haze. "The way people can come back even after being away." "Yeah, but what if she's not what everyone hopes?" The words stumbled out before Sarah could stop them. "What if it's still a mess?" Mrs. Henderson watched her with a knowing smile. "Life's a mess sometimes. It's part of the beauty of it. You've got to trust they're stronger together." In a heartbeat, the scene shifted. Miss Thompson led the girls in a spontaneous dance, her laughter merging with theirs, pulling a few hesitant adults into the joyous display. Despite the flickers of doubt, there was a beauty growing within the laughter, a stirring of connection as people began to step forward. Drawn by the energy radiating from the trio, still clinging to her reservations, Sarah felt a tug of war in her heart. Would this dance, this moment, reshape the fractures among them? And then a loud cheer erupted from the crowd, almost drowning out her thoughts. She turned and her eyes met Miss Thompson's, alive with sparkles, a mirror of hope reflecting Sarah's own fears, joys, and longings. But before Sarah could join the jubilation, a familiar voice called out across the grass, slicing through the joy like glass. "What are you doing? Have you all forgotten?" It was a voice she hadn't heard in years, thick with resentment and old wounds. It sent a jolt through the air, aligning Sarah's emotions into dread. As the crowd turned in response, Sarah's breath caught, uncertainty gripping her once more. Would this voice shatter the fragile moment they were beginning to build? Suddenly everything felt precarious. Would this joyous gathering spiral into chaos? Or would it band the community together stronger than before? And there, on the edge of a joyful explosion, Sarah braced for what could come next. The voice carried weight like a thunderclap. As Sarah turned, she saw a figure advance through the crowd, sharp and familiar: Daniel. His face was flushed, frustration etched across his brow. "You can't just dance like nothing happened," he shouted, his tone urgent. The laughter around them faded, brimming with palpable tension. Emma and Jenna paused, confusion crossing their innocent faces. Miss Thompson turned, her vibrant demeanor faltering momentarily. "Daniel," she began, but the words choked on the air. The crowd shifted, eyes darting between Daniel and the girls. Sarah could feel heat rising in her cheeks. A deep part of her wanted to shield them, to duck away from the unwanted memories lurking behind Daniel's presence. In that split second, the joy dimmed, eclipsed by his harsh reminder of the past. "What are you doing here?" Sarah asked, her voice barely above a whisper, her heart racing. This was not how she envisioned the reunion, not how she wanted tonight to unfold. "Maybe we should think about what we've ignored," he replied, taking a bold step forward. "You think it's fine to just sweep everything under the rug and pretend it's all okay?" "Enough." Miss Thompson's voice rang clear, a surprising authority enveloping the moment. She straightened her shoulders, finally stepping into the fray. "This isn't about the past. It's about healing for all of us." Daniel scoffed, his eyes narrowing at her assertion. "Healing? You call coming back and dancing in a park healing? What if you're just causing more hurt?" A ripple moved through the crowd. Some nodded in agreement with Daniel, while others stood in silence, pondering his words. Sarah's heart sank. Would tonight transform into an echo of old wounds? Jenna glanced up at Miss Thompson. "Mom, are we hurting people?" Miss Thompson knelt beside her, placing a gentle hand on her shoulder. "No, honey. Sometimes it's our joy that can break the chains of hurt. We're here to create new memories, to embrace what's to come rather than what has already passed." Her words carried warmth, yet Sarah felt strands of doubt entangling her. Could joy truly replace hurt? Would they really be able to bridge the gaps? Fingers twisting in her hair, Sarah's gaze darted between the two sides of the crowd. There were faces she recognized, whispers buzzing like a restless hive. Each expression painted stories of old wounds, some willing to forgive, some stuck in resentment. "Is this how you want to be remembered?" Daniel shot back at Miss Thompson, his emotions raw. "As someone who abandoned their family just to play the artist?" Emma trembled and Sarah instinctively moved closer to her, ready to shield her from the world that suddenly felt dangerous. "Daniel, please," Sarah implored, fighting the urge to unleash the years of suppressed emotion tangled with regret. "It's not that simple." But Daniel shook his head, and in that moment he wasn't just a voice. He was a storm trying to break over the fragile gathering. "It's time to face the truth. We can't keep dancing when there's so much that needs to be said." As the words hung in the air, a wave of unease washed over the crowd. Sarah felt a knot in her stomach, torn between wanting to hush him or give voice to her own fears. Would the evening shatter around them? Or was there room for healing amidst the chaos? Before she could respond, another voice rose from the back, a familiar face peering through the crowd. Wait! It wasn't just any voice. It was Jenna's father, Matt, stepping forward with an earnest expression. Just as the crowd turned to him, Sarah's heart raced again, fearing this new twist in the unfolding drama. Would Matt's presence deepen the wounds or provide a glimmer of hope? Sarah held her breath, wondering what revelation would surface next, the weight of the moment hanging like a pendulum over them all. Matt pushed through the crowd, his long strides radiating a sense of determination. He looked at Daniel with a mixture of concern and resolve. "Everyone listen." His voice cut through the air, both calm and demanding attention. Daniel's glare softened, momentarily distracted by the unexpected support. Sarah watched as Matt's presence shifted the atmosphere, a flicker of hope igniting within her. Could he be the one to redirect this storm? "Let us take a breath here," Matt continued, glancing around at the faces, some weary, others anxious. We've all felt the weight of the past. But standing here together we have the power to change things. Daniel seemed to flinch at the word together, the memory of fractures and betrayals flickering behind his eyes. And what do you propose, Matt? Dancing while ignoring the hard truths? No, Matt replied, sharp yet gentle. We're not ignoring anything. We're acknowledging that we've all been hurt. But isn't it also time to explore what healing looks like? Something in his calm authority settled the atmosphere, even if just slightly. Jenna clutched her mother's hand, her gaze darting back and forth between the men. Dad, can we talk about it? Matt nodded, his expression softening. Absolutely. This isn't just about Daniel or Sarah or anyone specific. It's about us. About the relationships we've abandoned and those yet to be nurtured. We can't change what happened, but we can decide what happens next. Sarah felt the tension ease just a fraction. A tentative bridge being built. But was everyone ready to cross it? She took a bold step forward. I don't want to keep living in the past, Daniel. I want us all to find a way to understand each other, to heal. But we can't do it by shouting at one another. A collective intake of breath swept through the crowd. Daniel's expression softened, though pain mirrored in his eyes. What if you don't understand? What if there's too much to forgive? Then we talk, Sarah said firmly, her body trembling with both fear and resolve. We lay it all out on the table, we confront it head-on. I know it's hard, but it's a chance to reimagine what we can become as friends, as a family. The crowd hushed, caught in the delicate balance of possibility. Their eyes shifted toward Daniel, the metaphorical spotlight once again upon him. For a moment he seemed lost in thought, the walls around his heart visibly wavering. You're asking a lot, Sarah. He began, his voice dropping. I know, she replied, tears prickling at her eyes. But we all were hurt. Doesn't he have to stay that way? Jenna's small voice interrupted, breaking the emotional charge. Can we be all right again? Just like before? The question hung in the air, filled with the innocence of a child, the weight of their reality bittersweet. Everyone held their breath, waiting for Daniel's response. A lump formed in Sarah's throat. Would he say what they all needed to hear? Suddenly, someone else spoke up from the edge of the crowd. Why do we even want to save this? All heads turned, trying to place the voice, stirring another wave of unease. Matt's expression shifted to one of concern, tightening the knot in Sarah's stomach. Who is that? Sarah whispered, feeling the swarm of whispers growing louder yet again. As the crowd parted slightly, a figure stepped into view, one that nobody expected. A figure from the past, a whisper that could turn hope into disarray. The air felt electric. What would the newcomer bring? Sarah's heart raced, and a sense of impending revelation washed over her. Would this intruder tear their fragile peace apart? Or would they provide the clarity needed for the healing to begin? The crowd parted with a tense anticipation, and as the figure moved forward, the recognition hit like a punch to the gut. It was Claire, someone Sarah thought she'd never see again. The years seemed to melt away in the faces around her, uncertainty replaced with a mix of nostalgia and apprehension. Claire. Daniel's voice was barely a whisper, shocked but filled with unasked questions. The crowd hushed further as everyone processed the moment. Claire stood there, a mixture of regret and bravery in her eyes, as if she were stepping onto a stage she hadn't planned to be part of. I couldn't stay away any longer, she finally said, her voice steady despite the quivers dancing in the air. I had to come back. Why now? Sarah blurted, her heart pounding against her ribs. What do you want? It was a fair question, but the way it spilled out felt more jagged than she intended. I want to help, Claire replied, a touch of vulnerability breaking through the facade. I've heard about everything, about the way we've all drifted apart. I didn't realize how much I missed all of you. I made mistakes and I'm here to own them. Matt stepped closer, trying to bridge the gap. This is tough for everyone, Claire. But if you have a voice in this, if you truly want to heal, then speak your truth. We're all listening. Listening, Daniel muttered, a flicker of anger lacing his tone. You think it's that simple? All these years, people getting hurt just like that, we're supposed to talk? But Claire held her ground, her gaze piercing through the tension. I know I'm not the one you wanted to see. I didn't even want to come at first. But life is too short to hide. And maybe, just maybe, we can find a way to mend what's been broken. Jenna was the first to step forward, her wide eyes searching Claire's. Can you help us be a family again? The innocence of the question cut through the air like a blade, mandating everyone's silence. Claire's expression softened into something that looked like hope. I can't promise miracles, Jenna, but I can promise honesty. I can promise to try. Sarah felt a rush of emotions and fought back tears again. It was as if an old thread was being woven back into their tapestry, even if it felt frayed around the edges. Still, Daniel stood there, guarded, wrestling with a past that threatened to drown him in resentment. Easy for you to say, Claire. We don't just forget years of pain and hurt. I don't expect you to forget. I don't even deserve your forgiveness, Claire said, her voice shaking slightly. But I wonder, is it time we stop blaming each other and start asking how we can grow from this? I want to know if we can find a way to let the love in despite the hurt. The crowd buzzed with murmurs, emotions rising like steam. A mixture of harsh skepticism and tentative optimism swirled among them. Matt interjected, sensing the fissures in the room. What if we tried? Do we dare to take a step back together and discuss what this could really look like? For a moment, time felt suspended. The weight of potential change hung thick in the air. Claire's courage was infectious, but would it be enough to remove the walls Daniel had built so high? He looked at Sarah, the flicker of hope lighting a new path, but could he trust it? Together? He asked almost tentatively. Together, Sarah affirmed, taking a step closer to him, her heart racing. The fragile dream of unity began to crystallize in that moment. Yet uncertainty lingered just beneath the surface. Would Claire's presence really usher in a change, or would it only deepen the wounds? As the question loomed, Sarah took a deep breath. The answer felt like it was just out of reach, waiting for them to grasp it. What choices lay ahead? And were they ready to brave the shadows of the past together? The air was thick with tension as Claire stood at the center of the crowd, her heart racing. Every glance, every whisper felt like a weight pressing down on her shoulders. Daniel's piercing gaze was the hardest to bear. She knew his walls were high, but she had come prepared to climb. I didn't come back to stir up old wounds, Claire said, her voice trembling slightly. I came so we could move forward together. Together, Daniel echoed the word like an accusation. It hung in the air, sharp and uncomfortable. What did it really mean? Do you even mean that? He challenged. Can we truly move past everything that has happened? Sarah felt the heat in Daniel's voice, the challenge behind it, and it stirred something in her. We have to try, Daniel, she urged. If we keep dwelling on the past, we'll never heal. Matt nodded, stepping in to add his voice to the mix. There's a chance here, a flicker of something good. Can't we just see where it goes? He was a calming presence amidst the storm. Claire pushed through her anxiety, meeting Daniel's gaze head-on. I know I can't erase the hurt, but I want to listen. I want to understand. We can't heal if we keep ignoring what's broken. There was silence. The crowd was wrapped in it, holding their breath in a fragile bubble. In that moment, Claire felt herself wavering, her purpose faltering. Had she made a mistake walking back into this? Then Jenna stepped forward, her small voice breaking through the tension. Can we play that game we loved? You know, the one where we all sit in a circle and share our feelings? The innocence in her suggestion tugged at Claire's heartstrings. It was a memory that felt both distant and painfully close. A time when laughter and love wrapped around them like a soft blanket. Maybe Claire began, hesitating as she considered how vulnerable they would have to be. Yet Jenna's hopeful expression sparked something in her. Maybe we can start small and see where it leads? Daniel's expression flickered with skepticism, but she could see a glimmer of uncertainty softening his eyes too. Sarah squeezed his hand, a silent plea for him to open up just a little more. What if Sarah spoke softly? We all take turns sharing one thing we've missed about each other. Could be a way to start reconnecting. The crowd shifted, the murmurs growing softer as they processed the suggestion. It was a small step but felt monumental. A way to rebuild trust without diving straight into the depths of their pain. Fine, Daniel said, crossing his arms defensively. I'll go first, but don't think it's easy for me. With a collective inhale, the group gathered closer, forming a circle that felt as comforting as it did challenging. Claire felt the energy shift, the guardedness slowly replacing itself with cautious hope. Daniel's voice broke against the silence. I miss the way we laughed before it all went wrong. There was a heaviness, a deep-rooted honesty in his words that made everyone listen intently. Claire's heart soared and sank with each share, as memories danced in the air, mixed with regret and longing. Stories surfaced, each one revealing glimpses of the beautiful tapestry they had woven together. Now frayed at the edges, one turn after another, voices started to flow, memories of holiday dinners, childhood adventures, backyard campouts. Each story connected them like unseen threads, reigniting a sense of belonging that had been lost for years. Just as the evening began to twinkle with the warmth of reconciliation, Claire took a breath, ready to share her own. Would she be brave enough to dive into her regrets? Before she could speak, Daniel's phone buzzed, shattering the moment. He glanced at the screen, and Claire noticed the way his expression shifted. "It's my mom," he said, confusion etched across his face. "She never calls." All eyes turned to him, uncertainty creeping back in. What news did the call hold? Would it be something that could tear this fragile moment apart just as it began to mend? Feeling the gravity of what lay ahead, Claire braced herself, wondering if this might change everything. Again, what would the future hold now? Did they really have what it took to keep moving forward? Or would this new revelation threaten their fragile hope? The air was thick with anticipation as Daniel answered the call. The crowd parted slightly, the whispers of speculation swirling again. Claire could feel her heart pounding as Daniel's expression turned from confusion to worry. "Mom? What's wrong?" he asked, his voice tight. Sarah clutched Emma's hand, anxiety surging up her spine. As Daniel turned away to listen, Claire felt a sinking feeling. It was a critical moment, teetering between hope and despair. The fragile ties they had just begun to form could snap at any second. "You need to tell me," he urged, glancing back at the group with a strained expression. The crowd fell quiet, every ear straining to catch every word. "Are you sure?" Tension crackled in the air as he nodded slowly, face paling. "Okay, I'll be right there." As he hung up, his eyes were filled with a mixture of fear and determination. "I have to go," he said, voice barely above a whisper. "It's my dad. He's been in an accident." A collective gasp rose from the crowd, and Claire felt her heart drop. In that moment, all their fears and past grievances melted away, replaced by a shared, instinctive instinct to rally around Daniel. Without hesitation, Sarah stepped forward. "We'll go with you," she said, her voice steady, offering warmth in a moment that felt cold and heavy with dread. Emma nodded, a firm resolve replacing her earlier uncertainty. "You're not alone, Daniel." His eyes, wide with surprise, softened at their kindness. "But you don't have to." "Yes, we do," Claire interjected, stepping closer. "This is what community means. We support each other, especially in moments like this. Let us go." A wave of determination surged through them all as they circled around Daniel. Claire could feel her own anxiety transform into an unwavering purpose. They quickly made their way through the throngs of people who were now buzzing in hushed confusion. As they approached the car, an unexpected warmth flowed between them, a unity born from shared vulnerability. The weight of years of judgment and hurt was still there, but in that moment, they were binding together for something larger than themselves. It was healing, albeit forged through crisis. The drive to the hospital was quiet but filled with an unspoken understanding. Sarah held Emma's hand tightly, while Claire glanced at Daniel, who was staring out the window, lost in thought. She could feel the tension and the fear radiating from him. "Just breathe," she whispered softly, "we'll get through this together." As they neared the hospital, a sense of urgency enveloped them all. They navigated the chaos of the waiting room, the smell of antiseptic heavy in the air. But amid the anxiety, they caught sight of Daniel's mom pacing nervously. "Mom!" Daniel rushed to her, enveloping her in a tight embrace. Claire watched as the three of them, Daniel, Sarah, and Emma, folded quietly around her, creating an impromptu sanctuary. It was a circle of strength, a resolve that cut through the heaviness. The past didn't feel as sharp in that moment. They were just a group of people wanting to support one another. Hours passed as they awaited news. The camaraderie began to build among them, sharing stories of love and laughter despite the undercurrent of fear. The conversations sliced through the anxiety, sparking a flicker of hope. Finally, a doctor emerged and the world held its breath. "Mr. Parker is stable," he said, relief washing over their faces. "He'll need time to recover, but he is going to be okay." Tears began to flow freely as they embraced, the relief enveloping them like a warm blanket. Daniel's pain and fear had intertwined them, reminding everyone of the strength of their shared community. As they left the hospital, the once festering wounds began to heal in a way Claire never thought possible. They walked together, carrying Daniel's weight collectively, not just as individuals but as a community united. At that moment, all judgment and past grievances were transformed into a tapestry of connection and understanding. "Thank you," Daniel said, his voice shaky but filled with gratitude. "I didn't think I could face this alone. You all made it bearable." Claire smiled, her heart swelling with pride. "We realized we're stronger together. Let us never forget that." As the sun set over Maplewood, the shadows faded away. The town was alive with the sound of laughter again, the promise of new beginnings thrumming in the air as they re-entered the community they had been pushed away from, and standing together, they realized that healing was not just possible, it was already happening. Every moment would bring transformation, and they were more than ready to embrace it together. Now that you know the heartwarming truth, don't wait not even one more second. You need to subscribe now to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories that will inspire your journey. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and support us on this incredible journey. Comment your reactions and feelings about this, ending your input matters. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. This is the moment to show your support and be part of our community. Let us keep the love flowing.